Hello, this is John Milburn for PROP13001 Property Development. We're into week 8. We're dealing with market research. So why is market research relevant for property developers? Well, I guess the important thing to understand and to identify is that property developers use market research in their business of property development. Now that might seem a basic comment, but what does it help the property developer to do? Well, it provides an opportunity for the property developer to obtain information useful for individual developments. That's one thing. So market research can be targeted to particular proposal or particular development. But it also provides an opportunity for developers to formulate long-term development strategies, if you like, their strategic goals consistent with their overall objectives. And in the case of publicly listed companies, to satisfy their shareholders' requirements. In addition, market research provides a way of analysing and predicting the performance of property investment portfolios. So there are a whole range of things that market research can be used for a property developer in the context of property development generally. Why do it? Well, one can fly by the seat of their pants if they wish, but market research provides an opportunity for a property developer to be simply well informed in terms of the market. It's not an exact science, but it is better, it's preferable to undertake well-informed market research than operate purely through intuition or guesswork, as well informed as that may be. I guess that's a pretty trite statement, but property developers need to be aware that financiers will want to ensure the property developer who seeks finance has appropriately considered the issues. It's a matter of considering the economic exercise and considering the appropriate source of the market research. Looking at the economic side of it, it's really a matter of determining the interaction between supply and demand, which is very basic economic strategy. And market research involves looking at the market generally in the context of a property or generally in the context of the overall market. And it provides insight as to the fundamental demand and supply factors. So if the property developer can identify with more clarity issues to do with demand and supply, that will have a direct bearing on the ability to sell the property once developed and to have a direct bearing on the price that the developer can achieve either both through sale or through leasing. So when considering the market research strategy, a property developer needs to start with an overall plan. Now, the plan is either going to be in relation to a particular property in a particular location, in other words, seeking very specific information, very localized information about a particular development, or it can be more general than that. And the market researchers who undertake the analysis will, of course, consult with a wide range of stakeholders and participants. In other words, the market research analysts must consider a whole range of information. And if you look at your textbook in Chapter 8, you'll see a graph that deals with the intersection of the location of the area under question as against the type of use. So it's very important to target the market research for it to be cost effective and essentially useful. Now, of course, it's different if the property developer is already committed to a parcel of land. Then it's a matter of basic valuation principles of trying to develop it for the best and most preferable highest use. But generally, market research is used even before we get to the stage of having acquired a property. Now, of course, it's all, as I mentioned, based on economic theory, and market research considers the state of the Australian economy generally, factors such as economic growth, population trends, property development activity, currently underway or proposed, a lot of those macro type economic issues. But the aim, of course, is to try to reduce, it can't eliminate, but reduce uncertainty. Let's assume that you're now a property developer. You've elected to undertake market research as a strategy. You want to do the very best you can to ensure you have the best information possible. Where do you look? In the study guides, I've provided you with some samples, information from Collier's and Savills, and there's a lot of free information about the markets and in particular specific types of markets in locations. So you'll see that the website material provides information which is about future trends, about different types of developments such as office space, employee practices, flexible workspaces, etc. And it may also provide an opportunity for you to obtain information about specific types of development opportunities, such as hotels. So have a look at those pieces of information. Now, where do these market researchers obtain their information? As I've said, from a variety of sources, but more specifically, if we look at the value of commercial real estate, for example, to a buyer, then it's all about yield and risk. The quality of the real estate is dependent upon those factors. And of course, the ability to lease the property to generate an income. So market researchers will consider leasing rates, for example, for commercial or property investments as they are at the moment. And they'll take into account issues to do with supply, demand, inflation, if they can. And they must also consider the effect that that lease incentives may have on the overall leasing value. So what the market researcher is trying to do is determine the intrinsic value. And part of that requires an analysis of risk, strengths, weaknesses, and all of those factors in coming up with an overall statement of the market as it generally is. Now in your text, you'll see in Reed and Sims at 8.7, there's a case study. It deals with the issue of a property development in Melbourne that went horribly wrong. Now, it would appear through poor due diligence, but I can't say that with certainty, but it appears through poor due diligence, the property developer completed the construction of residential units, obtained the permit to do so. It's not clear why the regional authority issued the permit when the site was, as it turns out, so highly contaminated due to its former use as a large dry cleaning business operating for more than 20 years. So ultimately the units were completely developed, but they were unsold. They lay dormant, unoccupied, unsold from 2003 until 2012, when ultimately the developer demolished those brand new unused units. There was obviously some legal action involved in that, and there was a decontamination process which resulted in the property now being available for development, and the owner attempted to sell that property in 2013. So that example provides a very good warning to property developers about using proposed development land and considering a wide range of factors that may have a bearing on its saleability, and that requires a good deal of market research. So as you're reading the material, as you're considering market research in the context of property developers, just bear in mind that property developers can run a risk of exposing themselves to very high levels of risk. These could be, to some degree, avoidable if market research had been realised prior to the commencement of the project. And market research is something which provides an opportunity for, if you like, for want of a better term, informed opinion. And it provides you with something very tangible to take to your financier for a proposed property development. Thank you very much.